Okay, let's call this meeting over. If you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What happened, Davis?
You've got me thrown off.
Can we get a roll call of the members present, please?
Councilmember Jessen. Councilmember Witten.
I'm here.
Councilmember Conover. Here. Councilmember Graham. Here. Councilmember Larson. Councilmember Bozick.
Here.
And Councilmember Rivas.
I am here.
5 present.
And we're glad to have you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Couple of housekeeping, or a couple of thoughts I wanted to share before we embarked down another night of festivities on second reading. One was, it had dawned on me, as I spoke with you guys, that we didn't have an advertised foundation budget, plus the ordinance hadn't had second reading at the commissioner's level to establish the fund for which the foundation earnings could be deposited into. So I had the opportunity to speak at length with our auditor. I also spoke with the commissioners, and I also spoke with the county attorney, and try to come up with what we think might be the easiest and quickest path of least resistance, given our time constraints. Since the foundation budget would in fact be a new budget, we need to have that advertised, correct, Vicki?
Yes.
And we're running out of time to do that. Is that not correct?
Yes, but we are still within the time period, so we can still get it advertised. It can still be subject to a public hearing, and it can still be adopted so that it'll be part of our whole budget package that we give to the state.
So if you were to suggest timing-wise a public hearing for the foundation budget, if we were to advertise that, what night would you think might be best?
Well, final adoption is scheduled for October 5th.
Yep.
Okay, so if we advertise this tomorrow, it only has to be advertised on the state portal gateway. It needs to be at least 10 regular days before the public hearing. So conceivably, the first night that we could have a public hearing is October 2nd.
Okay. So maybe October 2nd. What day of the week is that?
Monday.
How does everybody feel about October 2nd, Monday, for a special, to have a meeting, public hearing on the foundation budget?
Go for it. Do it.
I think we need to get the ball rolling here.
Can we make it an earlier one rather than a later, I mean, like the 4:30, 5 o'clock?
Yeah, I don't care. We could do it,
If that's okay.
yeah. I mean, we could do it 4:30. How about you, Jeremy? You're the closest thing to a working man up here.
I appreciate that. We can do it at noon.
I take it back.
Oh.
I got a job.
Yeah, 4:30, yeah.
So,
When can you get here?
4:30, I can make 4 work if you guys want to do it. 4:30 is fine.
4:30, please.
let's do 4, yeah, Karen.
There's a-
I said working man, you're a working woman. Vicki, how's 4:30 on the 2nd?
Sounds good.
All right. So we're going to have a few things to do on our way to that. And I talked with our consultants again on the investments. Again, I'll give a more detailed thought at our foundation meeting, but we're doing very well. The $6.3 million from last year, as we know, partial year, is still sitting in cash holdings in our investment accounts, just waiting to be moved. So as soon as that fund is established at the commissioner level, which, by the way, they're going to do at their next meeting, the $6.3 million can be moved in. I suggested that we come up with a strategy or a plan that would be simplest, quickest, easiest, most transparent. And speaking with the commissioners and Scott McClure and the auditor today, it seemed like maybe the best way to do this is each year, as we know, up to 5% comes in, the rest goes to the principal. Have the 5% come into the holding account, and then out of that holding account, we could have that money go to where we need it to go. Now, one of the things that we hadn't talked in great detail about was the bond payment, so that gave some thought to me. So I suggested in talking with, or what we suggested in talking today was, since in fact the bond is guaranteed and backed by seeded funds, it might make best sense that the bond payment be paid out of seeded money. So I spoke with Scott today, and I asked Scott if he would come up, that bond payment being about $2.1 million, where the commissioners do a revised seeded budget. I'll just wait. Do a revised seeded budget showing the $2.1 million bond payment, of course contingent, we have to pass it, and find me some things that are budgeted out of seeded now that we could replace with foundation money that equal $2.1 million. They suggested the easiest and the closest to $2.1 million was the 911 and jail medical budget. So they're going to revise their seeded budgets to show the bond payment, and when we do our foundation budget, we're going to have $2.1 million coming out of the foundation earnings to pay the jail medical and the 911. So it's kind of like just a replacement. Furthermore, out of that holding, we would then have what is necessary or what we budget against foundation earnings, formerly hospital interest, to be paid out of the holding account to those things that, or to fund those things that we would have traditionally funded out of interest. The remainder would stay in the holding fund until such time that the foundation made some determinations on how to spend that money, and things that obviously we could talk about as we move forward are not-for-profit, the grants, those sorts of things that we've bantered about. So I hope that meets with everybody's approval. I started thinking about this about 2 in the morning, and was thinking of all the possibilities that we could do, and this seemed, with our time constraints, to be the easiest and the clearest. Vicki, any thoughts on that?
No, as with all budgets, we will advertise high.
Yep.
So if it's the consensus of the council, we'll advertise this budget with all of those line items in this new foundation budget.
Yep.
Fund budget. We will advertise higher, and that's just for advertising purposes. So if I understand correctly, it's just the the lit monies for E911 and jail medical and the hospital interest monies.
Yeah, but also, we're going to need out of that budget to Capital Cities.
Correct.
Cost,
Mhm.
The auditor's cost, that audits we want that in there. I would suggest that we have some contractual in there. So we can talk more about that, Vicki, because I want to talk to the commissioners again a little bit about that.
Okay.
I've already got some thoughts, but I want to kind of confirm, and then we can kind of...
We can advertise really as high as we
Yeah,
want.
advertise
We can't
high.
go over it when you adopt it.
That's
So
right.
we can advertise 10 million, and
Just like to say thanks, Dan, for working on that, because
Oh,
I
thanks.
I
2 in the
looked at
morning.
that was,
2 in the morning.
well, it was sent out to us. I don't know if everybody got an email, but I got an email from Scott, and I read through it thoroughly, and it looks like you guys really sat down and were working very hard at coming up with an agreement. It looks really good, so thanks for all the hard work.
No problem. And I asked Scott to email you guys all, because I didn't want this to be the first time I wanted you guys to have a chance to look at it, although late, I know, but no problem. So we got that. The other thing was, a couple other things I had questions about. One was, when the sheriff came in front of us, he had indicated that he needed $300,000 budgeted for a vehicle replacement plan. I went to the commissioners today and asked if they were no longer funding that out of CCD, and they said that they are. So it was their opinion that they will continue to do that. They suggested that we reduce that $300,000 to maybe $50,000, and they'll make up the difference with CCD. So that should help, huh, Vicki?
yes.
And that was the question.
Very
that night.
Yes.
Thanks for checking on that.
Yep. So the other thing I wanted to follow up on today also was the insurance. The thing that confused me a little bit was, I asked the question, have we budgeted the same for insurance this year as we did the year before? And the initial answer was yes. It's not exactly true. As you know, they reduced the $1.3 million in interest to $1 million. That left me a question of where were we making up the other $300,000. The commissioners have indicated that they have not budgeted higher elsewhere. So I think Vicki and us just talking, what are we budgeting, about $7.7 million?
Well, when you include all the other funds, actually, yes, it's $7.6 million.
Okay, so
is
it's
the
close.
proposed.
So I also asked of the insurance consultants, I know that the commissioners, at one point, our stop loss was like 12, 13, 14 million. We had a high stop loss, so we always had to be a little bit concerned about worst-case scenario. I know the commissioners redid that, so I spoke with our insurance consultants, and they've indicated that the new stop loss is a hard stop loss gap, and it's 10.5 million. So what we're looking at then in a worst-case scenario, if we had just a catastrophic year, 2.8 million of exposure. But Vicki, didn't we talk a little bit, I think there's, the employee portion is about 800,000, is that about right?
763 is our projection.
Well, I'm getting close. I'm getting close on these numbers.
You're close.
So that, I guess, means that maybe 2 million, 2.1 of worst-case scenario exposure? That sound about right?
Worst case.
Yeah.
And we also get reimbursements from the stop.
That's right.
And we have no control over that when they come in, and there's usually a long lag.
Of course, I'm always a little bit reluctant. I've asked this question, haven't got a tremendously clear answer. We're in this balance billing, we're into this cost-plus plan, and I've asked the question, if there is an unresolved balance bill, is the county paying the balance bill? And I've been told twice now they would. Now, it's not really been an issue because, as you know, we're under contract with St. Mary now, Porter, Franciscan, so there is no balance billing. But there'll be balance billings at hospitals that we do not have contracts with. So, and as you know, that's Medicare, whatever they negotiate. So, if that turns out to be true, and we turn out to have a catastrophic year with somebody that has a high balance bill, that's something that we shouldn't ignore as a possibility. So I get the cost, I get the stop loss reimbursements, but I'm in the back of my mind thinking we might have that pesky balance bill problem too. So I think maybe if we just kept our number somewhere around 2.1 million of extreme liability, as long as we have a year or two of that, and it sounds like we do because I believe we have about 3.5 million-ish, and I don't want to hold you to the number, that will have perhaps carryover. Help me here.
3.9 is our projection.
See, I was off on that one. So, and keep in mind, as we do our foundation budget for next year, we've still got the $1 million in hospital interest fund that we're doing away with. So that's going to roll in. So our first year on the foundation budget is going to be a little nicer. So, okay. Any questions about all that? I think I've covered all my thoughts.
Good work.
Thank you. And with that, let's get to airport.
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
Very good.
Good.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
For the new council members, my name is Kyle Kubler. I'm the airport director.
Let's pull this up and take a look at it.
Aviation budget is the same as last year with the exception of the 1000 series where we normally have our 5% contingency for advertising purposes for any raises that would be given through this budget session.
And as you've probably heard, we're holding off on raises until the 28th. So, Vicki, if you pull those out, and this is not a general fund budget, but it has a rate. What's the number, Vicki, with the 1322879?
Move to approve.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Airport Cume Building.
This budget is the same as it's been approved by the Department of Local Government Finance for this year.
Move to approve.
So we have a motion, 238,555. Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? What's new and exciting at the airport? You guys doing some...
Yeah, I mean, we've had a very good summer. This was the third and final phase of the reconstruction of our primary runway taxiway system. All that over the 3 years went forward.
Did you get your RDA money yet?
We are working on that grant still.
Okay.
But it is part of that process, so important money for us, both the county and the RDA participation to that, what's going to be now probably in the range of $11-point-some million project.
Perfect.
But in addition to that, finishing on time and on budget through three construction seasons, the airport seeing 2 new businesses locate. We have a 3rd flight school now that is on the airport, in addition to Valparaiso University starting a aviation program and doing their flight training at our airport. They will be the 4th university in the state of Indiana to provide an aviation program. Very, very important right now, because the 30 years that I've been involved in aviation, they've been talking about a pilot shortage, and really there was never a shortage until now. Our military right now are training more UAV pilots than they are regular aircraft pilots, and with that, you're going to see more of that flight training for the airline industry, and cargo operators go through general aviation airports like ours, doing it directly through flight school or going through that university environment. So Indiana's going to have a 4th
Interesting.
opportunity for it.
Good deal, man. Sounds good. Keep up the good work.
Exciting year.
Opportunity Enterprises.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Nice to meet you. Have a good night.
Well, hello, Ellen. How are you?
I am great. How's everyone doing?
We're doing just swimmingly. Thank you for asking.
Swimmingly, okay.
So, 700,000. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Discussion.
Everything going good at your place?
Everything is solid at this time, yes. We're celebrating 50 years,
Hey.
Wow.
Thanks.
so thank you to our community for that.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Good evening. And Porter Stark.
General fund? Okay. I should.
Mr. Rocco, how's it going, man?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Whitten, you gotta introduce these people.
Introduce yourself. So that
My name is Rocco Shirelli. I'm CEO of Porter Stark Services.
Nice to meet you.
Sorry, guys.
I don't know him.
I understand. This is Andy Bozak down here, Councilman. Jeff Larson on the end there.
I should have brought a nameplate or an ID. I do have one on my wallet,
So, Porter Stark's new number is 2114677. What's your pleasure?
Move.
A motion.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. How are things going at Porter Stark?
Going good. I was just going over, just real briefly, I was going over some numbers as far as our growth, and in 2009, we served 8,000 different clients, okay? And in 2017, we served 16,000 different clients. Some good news, we've added some new programs related to opiates. We have a program that helps pregnant mothers that are addicted to opiates. We've expanded medicated assisted treatment. We're going to be expanding and remodeling affordable housing that we have. And some other really good news is we were able to be, since last year when we talked, we've been able to be a little more successful in recruiting. We were able to recruit 1 additional psychiatrist and 3 nurse practitioners, and that's an ongoing thing that we face is recruiting professional staff. But last year we had a little bit of luck and no turnover in our medical staff, so that's good.
Excellent. Good.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Rocco. Appreciate
Okay,
it, man.
thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank
night.
you, everybody.
Yep. Have a good night. And I think with Opportunity Enterprises and Porter Stark, Vicki, it's one of those deals where if we cut it on, they would cut our levy. So it's
This is kind of a
basically a
pass-through, right?
pass-through. Family Youth Services Bureau.
Lisa, thank you.
Good evening.
How are you? Good evening.
I'm Lisa Jordan,
Nice to
CEO
meet
of
you.
Family and Youth Services Bureau. Good evening.
Good evening. So on this one, this is where we're, no, I know what this is. All right, what's your pleasure with, 600, it's the same. We have a motion and a second on the floor, 600,000. Any discussion? How are we doing at Family Youth Services Bureau?
We are on track with the same kind of numbers that we've been able to serve for many years now. So we're looking at about 4,500 clients with their families this year. We are seeing the same kind of stressors in the community with substance abuse and use that everybody else is seeing.
Yeah.
One of the more disturbing trends that we are seeing right now is in our CASA program, and that is our court-appointed special advocate program, which are volunteers. and those numbers have gone up 31% since 2014. Currently, we have over 260 children that have been removed from their homes, and right now, that's 82% of those children have been removed for substance use and abuse in the homes.
Wow.
Those CASAs, we've been able to add more CASAs. The state has given us another staff person because we cannot get enough CASAs from the community, enough volunteers, so they have done that. That is still not keeping up, however. We are now averaging 3 to 4 children a week being removed from their home, which is going to be another 50 children. And today, I even made a phone call to the state to let them know about that. So that is a really disturbing trend. Our staff is working very hard to keep up with that.
All right. Well, you guys are doing a great thing, so,
Thank you.
Good
We
work.
appreciate the support.
all right. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Good evening. Porter County Services. How's it going this evening?
It's going great, man. How about
I'm hanging in there, man. Hanging in there.
So this is the council on aging?
Yes. Bruce Leonard.
Bruce? Hi, please.
Andy Bozak, nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
So let's start with the numbers. We have 450,000, same as last year, proposed in the budget. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. How are things going at the council on aging?
Very good.
All right?
We found $60,000 in changing our maintenance provider, so we are expanding service in January. As long as the gas has been staying low, we're running about a $30,000 surplus. Along with that $60,000 we found in the maintenance, by going local with Dave's Auto, that $90,000 will put another bus on the road in
Excellent.
January. So that should equate to another 4,000 or 5,000 rides. So.
Now, are there any other funding cuts on the horizon that you?
The federal funding has been fairly stable.
Okay.
The problem with it, it's always late coming. It doesn't give you enough lead time to plan.
Right.
But they always seem to come through with the amount of money that we've been getting year after
Good old
year.
federal government, stable as a rock.
So we just play like they're going to get there, and we're sitting there with no contract, but we assume that it's going to continue at that same level. So
All right.
you guys are 58% of our budget,
Yeah,
$780,000. I mean, if you want, I'll give you the $60,000 back, and we'll go back to continue with 7 buses if you need the $60,000.
No. We went
I look forward to expanding the service. There are more than enough seniors and disabled population out there that we're moving around, and
You can't actually keep up with
Right.
requests.
no, we've got more people asking for rides than we can deliver as it stands right now.
Right. Thank you. Sounds good.
But you understand, you are the...
Oh, I get it. We get it, okay.
All right.
We're behind you. All right.
And Sylvia, you do a great job. She's on our board. She's always there asking the good questions.
That's right. We appoint her to the Council on Aging, and I usually crack a joke.
I was here for that one.
Are we going to wait till,
You said about that job.
we'll wait till the end of the meeting to sing happy birthday?
That was last meeting. We missed Sylvia's birthday on Tuesday.
Oh.
And I'm still having them, guys.
Oh, we hope so.
Coroner.
The alternative isn't good.
That kind of segued right in.
And on Sylvia's birthday, coroner.
That's always a joke. Every year.
Bring a smile.
Because we love you, Sylvia.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, so we have the coroner. So, I know you were asking for some additional, I think, a person?
Yes,
And,
deputy and autopsies. Currently, right now, with the autopsies, we don't have our own morgue, so we're kind of at the
mercy of the hospital for a facility, basically.
Right.
With that understanding, which is kind of a gentleman's agreement, we use their pathologist.
Okay.
I have no control over what that pathologist group charges for anything, and they have just raised their prices $250 per autopsy. You multiply that by 60, 70 autopsies, and you're going to come up somewhere probably around 16,000, I would guess. So I did ask for $10,000 more than that. I will trim away more autopsies, so that's not a problem. But we have gotten a lot more business over the course of the years. As I think everybody here received a letter from me kind of stating those figures, and there's like a, what was it, 43% increase in calls. It's just with the population growth, the drug problem that we're having. Halfway through this year, we've already, most of you probably are already aware that we had a record year for heroin deaths, opiate deaths, total drug overdoses, and halfway through this year, we were at that mark. So 2017 is going to be another record year. There's nothing that I can do to curb that. So hence the reason for the extra deputy who makes somewhere around $8,000 a year with no perks, no insurance, no nothing.
All right. So I think we're going to address additional personnel and raises on the 28th. That's what I think we're going to do. So we'll revisit that on that day.
Okay.
But from my perspective, you've made a pretty solid, reason.
I appreciate that.
You've done a great job of keeping us informed as to the unfortunate records that we're approaching and breaking, and as disheartening as that is, and staggering and frightening, I certainly do appreciate you doing that, Chuck, very much.
Thank you very much.
So,
appreciate all you guys being so supportive throughout the course of the years.
Yep.
I'd like
So,
to-
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to thank you publicly for all that you tried to do behind the scenes and talk to our children at school and meet in groups, and you really put your heart out on your sleeve to reinforce the problem and try to make a difference in our numbers, Chuck.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Chuck's good corner, no doubt.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Get one more year of me.
Right. So the new number is 349,849.
Move to approve.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. So that taps our general fund a little bit, Vicki, right?
Yes, well, we took out the new person, but there's
Right.
the other increase.
The consultant, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Chuck.
Thank you guys very much.
No problem. Weights and measures. Weights and measures.
This guy's gonna be tough.
Well, hey, this guy I know, he was coaching against me in baseball.
Probably wasn't very difficult, was it?
No, that's what it was.
All right. So, we have a number of $71,045.
No approve.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And
Ayes
thank you
have it.
for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. See you.
Veterans.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Let's pull it up. 101,820.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, $500 more for training and ed. Discussion, go ahead, Andy.
Can you kind of explain what the Veteran Service Officer is?
Pardon, Andy?
What is Veteran Service Officer? What is it that you guys do?
What do you do?
Our responsibilities is to go ahead and assist all veterans and their families to receive the benefits, local, state, and federal benefits that they are entitled to. And with that, we have continuing education and accreditation requirements each year. And it's a wonderful job. We're very honored to be in this position, so we enjoy what we do, and the staff works very hard for Porter County. I'm very happy with our staff, so.
Thank you, that's kind of what I guessed, I just wanted to make sure.
Sure.
Thank you for
And as a
clarifying.
veteran, quite frankly, I can tell you that many of our veterans would be left behind,
Oh, I
But
support it
for-
100%.
the services these guys provide, so.
More and more, the county service officer is getting a lot more recognition and value to the state. And hopefully, the state will step up and start funding county service officers a little bit more. The $500 addition is for software, and I've been holding out because I expected IDVA, the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs, to pick up that tab, and they haven't, but hopefully next year. So that's really the increase that we're asking for this year.
Makes sense to me. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So a little bit more, Vicki, on the, all right. Where are we at on the hit to the general fund thus far?
As of right now, with veterans included,
Yeah.
we increased general fund by $658,802. Now, that does include Porter Stark,
Okay.
but we have to
Right.
include Porter Stark at this point.
Right. And so is that with the money we took out of the sheriff's?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
We were at about 800 the other
Yeah.
night, now we're down.
See? I went home and found us $250,000.
Probably a lot more than that.
Extension office. Can hardly wait to see what I come up with. So we have the extension. I know you're requesting raises, and again, we'll address that at the time. But your contractual's up just a shade.
Right.
Quickly, briefly, why is that?
The contractual pays for the salaries and benefits, impartial, for the 4 educators in the office, so that, cost goes up about every year, so.
So you're increasing your education, the number that you have?
Pardon me?
Are you, no?
The contractual services is determined by the university, and so they actually pay the educators. And so they handle all the benefit package, the health insurance package, and they also put in for the salaries for the educators. So it pays for 4 educators plus some part-time people to work here in the county. So this year, because of the increased cost of the benefit package and health insurance, it did go up a little bit. I think it was 1.5%.
249,466, what's your pleasure?
Make a motion to accept?
Motion on the floor, second? We have a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, soil and water. Have a good night.
How you doing?
All right, so we've got a little bit of increase here in other supplies.
Correct. I'm Michelle Benson. I'm the district employee for the folks that are new. And this is Keith Gustafson. He's our fiscal officer, unpaid board member.
Good seeing you guys again.
Thank you.
So we have an increase in other supplies and an office equipment over $100. What are those things? Why the increase?
Well, we actually don't have any modern equipment. For example, a projector, if we wanted to do a PowerPoint presentation, we don't have a projector to show that. We're kind of on the system where we beg and borrow from other offices, and of course, sometimes those systems aren't always available. And we're doing more and more field days now. We're getting a lot more contacts from the community interested in conservation programs, and so we really need some modern equipment in order to help us share what our message and to help those folks receive the services that they want.
Sylvia will loan you her VCR player.
Okay.
Thanks,
but we already have one.
Those are worth a lot of money now.
Really? I need to approve
All right, I have a motion of 107,546. I'll second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all Jeff?
I was just wondering what the other supplies
Yeah,
were.
right.
Oh, okay. The other supplies, we've never had a logo. And so, for example, I visit between 8,000 and 10,000 school children in Porter County each year. They all know me as the seed lady. However, if I ask them, well, where do I work, it would be challenging for them to know, as well as the teachers. In fact, just yesterday, I was at a school, and the teacher said, now tell me one more time where you work. And I've been to her classroom a few times. It's kind of hard to get that across because Porter County Soil and Water Conservation is such a huge name. So since 1952, we've been in existence, celebrating 65 years. However, few people know that the services that they're receiving come from that office. Often I'm asked, do you work for the park department? Do you work for this department? So sometimes we're just not getting the credit for what we're doing.
So do we use our local print shop here for some of that?
And I do use the print shop for envelopes and things like that, that she's able to provide. However, with the logo, we really need someone to design that for us. I'm not an artist, so I can't do that. We do most of everything in-house. When we do a brochure, I'll do it on the computer, even print it in the office.
What about doing a contest for kids or something and allow them?
Well, and we've talked about that.
Save
We're just
money.
not quite sure what to do because we want something that looks professional to kind of represent us as a professional office, a professional department.
Is that including some advertising, like?
Correct, yes, and some signs and things like that that we don't have. When we do a field with cover crops, for example, we'd like to put a nice sign there indicating that the farmer is practicing conservation, which reduces sediment, which in turn means you have to spend less money cleaning a ditch.
So could we expect to see that fund reduced next year? I mean, it was a one-time fee, do you believe?
This for the logo would be a one-time fee, yes.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
And thanks
Treasurer.
Thanks for keeping us updated, too. I appreciate the mailing.
Such a nice email when you pick the 10 Your mom and dad trained you well.
I'm going to come one day. I'm trying. Hey, as soon as baseball season's over.
Michelle, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Not too shabby, really. So, it looks like we've got up in hourly, up in contractual, but the bottom line number's down. I assume that you're going to allocate some of that to your requested raises? Is that why that's?
Well, the thought is if we can eliminate the position that is open right now, we had someone retire.
Look on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was looking here.
So I was going to, instead of filling that position, kind of reorganize and divvy up the duties and...
So at 274, 127, which is in fact down, when we come back on the 28th, we can discuss a little further about that. Okay, 274, 127 is the number.
Move to approve.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second discussion. Jeremy, go ahead.
So you think, keep your office going as it is with one less person? How long has that position's been vacant? How long has it been?
Since April.
April.
Yeah, so we've got our feet wet, we've been treading the water and seeing how it goes.
We got through tax season without that.
That and the system conversion, and we think that's only going to make it easier on us in the long run.
So we reduced the salary, but we added hourly wage, why is that?
That, I wanted to hopefully bring more people in just for the deadline, maybe get some more phone, people to answer the phone. Right now, we bring 2 people in at deadline to help with the counter, taking payments, but we can't, she did answer phones during deadline, so we don't have that one body to answer the phones also, and I'd like to actually maybe bring in a second person to do the phone work.
What do you typically spend out of hourly, Michelle?
I
Vicki?
think we just were short of last year's 5,000.
Right now you are?
No, it's for the year, I think we come in just...
Well, it looks like you're going to save about $9,000 over last year. Is that correct on salaries, roughly?
I thought I was looking at 14 altogether.
You got 255 if you take hour and salaries, and we take the 20 plus the 226, that's 246, right? So 255.
Oh, gotcha, yeah, I was looking at the wrong sheet, right.
Right. So roughly $9,000 savings over the previous year under the adopted budget.
Is contractual services going up too?
Now, the increase in contractual services is the new website that we have up and running, and it's wonderful. We've had nothing but great responses for that, which is great. The $14,000 a year in maintenance on that is actually going to be covered by the $26,000 that we worked out with solid waste. so we're actually billing them to do their billing. So they've agreed to hand over $26,000 to the general fund.
Correct.
Which then I would like to actually just put in my budget so that every year we know it's there and I can just pay it. So it's actually $12,000 less on top of that between the two offices. So we shared in that.
So explain that a little deeper, Vicki.
Right, the state allows
much
the
better.
recycling districts to, in a sense, reimburse the treasurer and auditor for the work that they do, getting their fees on the tax bills. And so this has been several years in the works. We thought we could just bill solid waste for whatever we wanted, and we hit a roadblock with the State Board of Accounts because of the legal wording in the ordinance and all this other. So now you have the new ordinance passed, new agreement in place, the money has to come into the general fund.
Gotcha.
And so
And we're happy to have it.
this year is, exactly. And then this year, Michelle, you're going to seek an additional appropriation from the general fund to pay the bill that just came yesterday for the new tax site. And then in future years, her hope was to incorporate it in the budget, since we're getting that revenue anyway in the general fund.
Why couldn't we incorporate it now?
Well, you mean for this budget year?
Yeah.
Well, you will when she comes before you to ask for the additional appropriation.
No, I mean for 18, is that?
Oh,
That's what it is.
it is in
Is it
there.
in there?
The increase.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, it's
that
increase.
increase for 18.
Yes.
But, all right, so that's the increase, but the reimbursement, is that in here?
Well, that's on the revenue side, so we don't really see that in the budget process.
Okay. I'm just wondering if, okay, that's fine. We can deal with it when we talk about raises. Sounds good to me? We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Tourism. This is Lorelei Weimer and Wolfman Jack.
Nice to meet you. Hello.
Hello, Mitch, how are you? Good.
Want me to explain the changes real quick?
Yeah, would you
Okay,
please?
the utility services have gone from 27.5 to 32,000. The increase is because the NIPSCO bill has gone up. We don't really control that. The maintenance agreement from 59.2 to 74.2, we explained that once before when we were here earlier. We use Opportunity Enterprises. They realized that they were operating at a deficit to service us, and we kind of shopped around and we couldn't get anybody that would do as good of a job for even 74.2. So we had to increase that.
Gotcha.
And then capital outlays, item 4, buildings, it's going from 30,000 to 530,000. All that is a shell account that authorizes us, if we get grants, to place them into that. So it's not like there's $530,000 there, because there's not. In fact, is there any money?
30,000 is what we normally spend.
There's 30,000 in there. Our hope is to build that up through grants for our redevelopment project up at the Tourism Bureau, or the center.
What do you, okay, so how are you, when you finish this calendar year, what kind of funds will you have carrying over to next year? What do you have in sort of reserve?
We have the same, pretty
same, is that
much,
down at all?
800 roughly, right in that neighborhood. That's our rainy day fund, our
Capital
best
improvement.
practices, capital improvement. We have lost some air conditioners this year.
We're
We've
going to
had-
lose all of them.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting to drop off. So we're still the same as far as that.
And you
everything-
kept the Expo Memorial, the
It's still right where it is.
conversation
Yeah,
about the
so
venues.
hopefully we'll never have that discussion.
Yeah,
I'd really rather not, thank you.
So Vicki, are we okay then going from 30,000 to 530,000 in that line item, based upon what you've just heard?
Based upon what I heard, yes. Keep in mind, we don't do their accounting.
I
for
understand,
them.
I
It's
understand.
completely out of,
It's not general fund generated, it's
So it's like a
Keeper tax?
Or?
You're just inflating
We're
that
just
number,
over it. We
so
don't-
that,
Right.
when you get it, the budget number's high enough that you can.
Right, so every grant we would get, we'd actually have to come before you guys to do those appropriations. And so National Park is making
Yeah.
this a priority for this. So it's, literally, we need 1.7 million, that's what we have
We
to
approve
raise
it.
for that project, but
Okay,
at least this gives us a starting point to
Thank
start working on the project.
You guys had development and maintenance on the website that went up 20 grand. Is that just something you guys are doing additionally, or?
What line item is
No,
that?
that's just the Opportunity Enterprise cleaning bill.
No, this is the website.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, there's a website one, there's.
Website development,
40 to 60.
39,540.
Maybe I missed one.
39540.
If it went up, I'll find it.
You went from 40 to 60,000. You guys, I guess the easier question is, is your maintenance, your website maintenance cost gone up? Do you have some development on the horizon?
Absolutely. So, when you're working with a website as significant as ours, it's the behind the scenes that is starting to break. And
Right.
so we had a full audit done on all of our digital, and so we're doing really good, but we're talking about a 3-4-year-old website, so the behind the scenes is starting to break. And so if you go to certain sections, you'll have links that are not working. So we know that we're going up to a big upgrade, and that's the amount of money that we have to put into that.
Gotcha.
I had a very nice conversation with Lorelei the other day, and I think this line item that they're creating is good. But, what you talked about, improvements in your area, I think it's...
Well, just to give you an idea of the significance of what we're doing at the Visitor Center, and again, I'm hoping we can get some of you guys to work up there next summer to volunteer, just to get a feel. Next year...
I find that highly unlikely.
Significant thing is the number.
Next year, so the last 2 years, we've broken 100,000, we're at 114,000 visitors this year. Next year, if we break another 100,000, we're talking 1 million visitors through that center, and it's only been there for 12 years. I want you to put your mind around that. I mean, we're the cheerleaders for Porter County, and we're putting a huge positive light on this county, and it goes beyond just visitors. I mean, you have developers that are coming in, and we're the ones that are really showing the quality of life what our county has to do. So when you're thinking about 1 million visitors that we have interacted with, and we're showcasing
I
how
gotta
to
stop
do
it.
it.
I'm having a hard time getting the visual of Mitch Peters as a cheerleader out of my brain.
Thank you.
The cheer captain.
But I will say, we've been getting, Google's doing reviews, site reviews, so when somebody goes there, they can review. We're getting like 4s and 5s constantly for our staff work up there, for the cleanliness of the
I
facility.
like you guys. I'm telling you, that's great. Good enough for Sylvia, good enough for me. 1949652 is the number. What's your pleasure?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks a lot,
That
guys.
was very pleasant, thank you.
Well, we try. Yeah, we try.
Always.
Assessor. Good night.
Dan, I would like to.
I like his tie. If you're gonna
I would like to move the assessor to the end.
I'm sorry, John, he asked.
I would like to,
vote on that.
Why?
I get to vote on that, too.
I ran into a Facebook comment about him saying that he'd rather have a root canal than be here tonight.
Really?
A lot of truth to that.
Well, I think wore a bow tie.
He wore a bow tie, so yeah, I would like to move him to the end.
Not to be outdone by Mr. Bozak, but
we didn't coordinate.
All right, so, all of this sophomore chicanery aside.
Oh, man. Motion to approve.
Thank you.
We have a motion, and I'll second it. 1-2 something, no, where are we at? Am I on the right one? Oh, 778-351, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Reassessment, 1188, 458-307, same number.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? He looks like a door-to-door salesman for something I wouldn't want to buy.
A vacuum cleaner?
You're looking good, man. You're looking good. I myself was concerned about the bow tie coming back, but you're doing it, man. You're doing it. Appreciate that. I like it.
John.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
Looking good, feeling good. Portage Assessor.
Wasn't so bad, was it, John?
Root canal with fatty.
Take home and cry.
You never know who's watching those Facebook posts, though.
I only pick on John because I like him. That's simple. Well, I also pick on people I don't like, so that's really a hard thing to gauge. All right, so we've got a little bit increase in the dues and subscriptions, correct? And a little bit in travel, a little bit in training, a little bit, well, I'm just, a little bit in everything, except for salaries on this one. So, tell us what's going on here.
Well, my part-timer that I have right now for reassessment, she has just taken her level 1 and will be taking her level 2 in November. And as long as she's still here with us, still wants to retain her job, she will be required to get her level 3 next year. Because by law, she has to be level 3 to change real estate assessments. And my part-timer does do that, even though she's out in the field. So I have to have the monies to send her to class, because sometimes she has to go out of town. And I agreed, and I've done this with the other staff members, if she fails the course, then I'm willing to pay for it one time. If she fails it again, then it comes out of her own pocket. So.
Okay.
So I just want it covered, and plus we go to conference once a year, the whole staff, so I got 6 people going now instead of 5. So I just want enough money to cover and not be short and come back.
All right. Is that the one there's one in Florida, is that the one you guys go to, or is that local?
No, that was, for me, I was not able to go to that class, so I wasn't able to attend.
Does the other assessor go with you too as well, or is it just Portage, or?
For the
class, or the convention thing that you mentioned?
Oh, yeah, their office goes too, I don't know, yeah.
Just interesting.
It's twice a year, but I only budget for once.
Thank you.
And then as far as the dues and subscriptions, the assessor's dues have went up significantly. So, and I have a subscription for commercial sales, and that's went up also. So that's to do for my increase.
So with all that in mind, the number's 228,381. What's your pleasure? I'd make a motion, but I can't. I'm the chair. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
How much is in
I'll second
her...
that motion. Discussion.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
How much is in training and education? How much did they use from last year?
I've used quite a bit this year.
But you just said you didn't go to the one?
Well, no, this is for advanced courses that I attend, and plus I paid
travel
for...
Is that mandated by the state, they do all that training?
Yes, we have to have 45 credit hours to retain our levels.
So Sylvia, you asked for training and ed in 2016, right?
Right.
Okay, so they spent about 3,700.
3,700.
I had one of my full-time people going to the level 3 classes last year and
Okay.
finished it this year.
And what did you say that you're going to have this year? A girl, you said?
Yeah, my part-timer that I have for reassessment, next year she will have to go to, for level 3.
And how, on travel, how much is in there now?
Now
Right.
we're going to 17. Let's go to the other, remember, we have to switch systems now, so bear with us. We're coming to 2017 now.
This will only be for 1 year, because after that, everybody will be a level 3.
This is the 2017 budget and expenditures. Okay, so in training and education so far this year, she spent $3,976.
And then what was the travel?
4,800.
4,800?
Okay, 4,800.
That's currently.
Okay, all right.
I had an issue this year with, I had talked to Jeremy about it. I had an issue with one of my full-time employees who was having a very difficult time getting a level 3. So I was paying for her to get it the last class. The last class she just could not pass, but she finally did it. So.
Hey, all right, that's fantastic.
But
it's great news.
I didn't want the burden to be on her. She couldn't afford it, so I offered to pay for it.
Okay.
You had contractual services last year. We don't see anything on there for an expenditure. And also, the dues and subscriptions was only $2,300 last year, and we're asking for $6,000 now.
That's actually this year.
That's it, yeah, year to date.
Yeah.
my last year for my contract, Joe. He has not billed me yet. I'm still waiting. I have a commercial guy for reassessment. That's the only contract I have.
What's your typically bill?